Dr. Hovind, I love your doctoral thesis. I've torn it to pieces with house and gaffle. I can't remember when I last pissed myself laughing. It's a good thing the thesis mopped the piss off the floor.
Welcome to part 43 of this read-through and peer review of Kent Hovind's doctoral dissertation, which was published on wikileaks.org on December the 9th, 2009. If you have not yet seen the previous sections in this series, then I recommend that you go and see those first, as in this episode I will start off exactly where I left off in the last. In the last episode, Kent gave us a straw man that was so preposterous that even Dorothy, the Tin Man and the Lion claimed that they were on a different movie at the time. Kent almost perfectly described natural selection, and then said it wasn't natural selection or evolution, and that no matter how much time you had, a canary would not evolve into a tomato. In an obvious bid to place enough distance as possible between that last statement and himself, Kent then, in this episode, switches tack completely and starts talking about cosmology. Kent continues, "Let me quote just a few more things here. In Scientific America, May 1984, Alan Good said, 'The inflationary model of the universe provides a possible mechanism by which the observable universe could have evolved from an infinitesimal region. It is then tempting to go one step further and speculate that the entire universe evolved from literally nothing.'" Kent, in the last paragraph, literally moments ago, we were talking about the evolution of canaries by means of natural selection. How on earth did we get to be talking about the inflationary model of the universe? Where is its relevance? Ah, yes, I see. They both have the word evolved in the sentence. You must admit, Kent, it is a rather tenuous link. But anyway, you can speculate and say that it's possible all you want, but that is a religion. That's your faith. Don't tell me that it's science. Well, Kent, you're both very wrong and very right in that last statement. You see, for a start, it's nothing to do with religion. We'll get that out of the way, but yes, speculating. That's what scientists do. It's called putting forward a hypothesis. That, in essence, is what a hypothesis is. It's a speculation. But do carry on. You cannot prove that. Well, Kent, that is the question, isn't it? You see, Kent, if you can prove the hypothesis, if you can back up the speculation, then that hypothesis becomes a theory. However, if you can't, then the hypothesis is dismissed. You see, Kent, in science, the ability to disprove something is just as important as the ability to prove it, because if you can't disprove it, then that just adds more evidence, more weight to the theory. And that, Kent, is why evolution by means of natural selection is such a very, very strong theory. So strong that it could almost be considered a fact. You see, Kent, all you have to do to disprove the theory of evolution is find something that goes completely against it. For instance, if you were to find a canary that had evolved into a tomato. You see, Kent, if you could find incontrovertible, testable and verifiable evidence of such an occurrence, then you would become more famous than Darwin himself. But do go on. If you want to believe that, that's fine. This is America. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but don't tell me that it is science, and don't use my tax dollars to teach other kids in public schools that this is science. That's nonsense. Yes, Kent, it is, because you don't pay tax, do you, Kent? And that's testable and verifiable, because you're in prison. But do go on. If you think that it is really important to teach evolution to the young people, then go start yourself a private school. Charge tuition and teach evolution to those who want to pay to come to learn it. Strange thing about that, Kent. When you get a bunch of people who go to a school, a private school for instance, that has been set up and teaches fundy fucktard creationism, then what you end up with is a bunch of fundy fucktards. The opposite is also true. In the same circumstances, when you set up a private school and they teach proper subjects such as evolution within science, then what you get are some of the most well-educated people in society. Strange how that happens, isn't it, Kent? But anyway, Kent carries on. But it is deceitful, wrong, and wicked to use the public's tax money to promote this religion of evolution in our public schools. We've got to put a stop to it. Yes, Kent, because falling to 19th place on the United Nations 2008 Education Index obviously isn't far enough, is it? But anyway, carry on. Let me quote just a few more here. David Kitts, in Paleontology and Evolutionary Thought magazine, said, "Evolution, at least in the sense that Darwin speaks of it, cannot be detected within the lifetime of a single observer." Kent continues that it cannot be detected. Well, no, Kent, it can't, unless, of course, you know of a race of people that live thousands of years old. Evolution occurs over many, many generations. It's not the case that everybody's sat there and then one Sunday afternoon everybody suddenly sprouts a third arm. If such a thing did happen, that would indeed be proof against Darwin's theory of evolution. Kent continues, "It is not part of science. It is just a religion. Here is a quote from Meyer's book, Systematic and Origin of Species." Oh, Kent, where do I start with this quote? You just know that it's complete and utter bullshit when you go looking for that quote and you find that the Flat Earth Society is using it to back up their claims too. But let's make a start. First of all, it isn't systematic and origin of species, it's systematics and the origin of species. Secondly, you're talking about Ernst Mayr, not Meyer. And thirdly, Ernst Mayr never went anywhere near that quote. It was actually written by Stephen J. Gould and Niles Eldridge. It's from their paper, Darwin's Gradualism, published in Systematic Zoology, Volume 32, Number 4, December 1983, page 444 to 445. And the actual line is, Darwin never really discussed the origin of species in any modern sense. But do go on, Kent. Colin Patterson, the curator at the British Museum of Natural History, said, "No one has ever produced a species by mechanisms and natural selection. No one has ever gotten near it." Well, Kent, there's a couple of things wrong with that. If someone tried to create a species by means of natural selection, then it would be artificial selection, and therefore not natural selection. However, there are many examples where artificial selection, selective breeding, have produced an organism distinct from the original. Take that banana you're holding in your hand, for instance. Even Ray Comfort acknowledges that one.